The security guard walked me to my car like I was some kind of criminal. My own company. My own parking space. 22 years of my life packed into a cardboard box that barely fit in my trunk. My name is Rebecca Martinez. I am 46 years old. And I just watched my business partner destroy everything we built together for a woman half his age. I'm sorry, Ms. Martinez, the guard said as I fumbled with my keys. I'm just following orders. Orders. From William Chin, the man who used to ask my opinion on what tie to wear to client meetings. The man who couldn't balance a checkbook when we started our consulting firm in my garage 22 years ago. The drive home was a blur of rage and disbelief. 22 years. We had built pinnacle business solutions from nothing. 2 college friends with big dreams and maxed out credit cards. I handled operations and strategy. William handled sales and schmoozing clients. It worked because we trusted each other completely. Or so I thought. The signs had been there for months. William staying late at the office. Weekend client meetings that never appeared on our calendar. The way he started dressing better, wearing expensive cologne, acting like he was 25 again instead of 52. Her name was Amber Walsh. 26 years old with a marketing degree and ambitions bigger than her qualifications. William hired her as our new marketing director 6 months ago, despite my concerns that we didn't need one. She brings fresh ideas, he had said during our partner meeting. Young perspective. Social media expertise. What she brought was trouble. Within weeks, she was in every meeting, offering opinions on strategies she didn't understand. Within a month, she was traveling to client sites that didn't require marketing input. Within 2 months, she was staying late with William to work on proposals. I should have seen it coming. But you don't expect your best friend and business partner to stab you in the back for a woman young enough to be his daughter. The final blow came last Tuesday. William called me into his office, the one that used to be our office before he decided he needed more space. Rebecca, we need to talk about your role here. My role. I sat down across from his desk, the same desk we had bought together at a furniture liquidation sale 15 years ago. What about my role? The company is evolving. We need different leadership for the next phase of growth. I stared at him. Different leadership. William, I am the leadership. I built the operational systems. I developed our core strategies. I trained half our staff. And you've done great work. But Amber has identified some inefficiencies in our current structure. Amber. Of course. What kind of inefficiencies? Your management style is too rigid. Too focused on the old ways of doing things. Our clients want innovation, not bureaucracy. I felt my face get hot. Bureaucracy? You mean the systems that grew our revenue from 50,000 to 50 million? The processes that won us Industry Firm of the Year 3 times. Times change, Rebecca. So do business needs. What are you saying exactly? He leaned back in his chair trying to look casual. But I could see the nervousness in his eyes. We're restructuring. Amber will be taking over as Chief Operating Officer. You'll move to a consulting role. A consulting role. Part-time. Project-based. Good hourly rate. 22 years reduced to part-time project work. I stood up slowly, my hands shaking with anger. You're firing me. I'm offering you a transition. You're firing me from the company I co-founded to make room for your girlfriend. His face went red. This is strictly business. Amber's qualifications. What qualifications? 6 months of experience and a bachelor's degree? William, I have an MBA from Wharton and 2 decades of proven results. Your education is outdated. Amber understands digital transformation. Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop lying to me. We've been friends since college. Don't insult my intelligence by pretending this is about business. For a moment I saw guilt flash across his face. Then it was gone, replaced by cold determination. I'm sorry you feel that way. Security will escort you out. Your final paycheck and severance will be direct deposited. Severance. Like I was some employee he was laying off instead of the person who had saved his ass 100 times over the years. That night, I sat in my home office surrounded by 22 years of memories. Photos from company parties. Awards we had won together. Thank you letters from clients whose businesses we had saved. I thought about all the times I had covered for William. The client proposal he forgot about until the night before it was due. The tax deadline he almost missed because he was too busy playing golf. The HR complaint from a female employee that I handled quietly to protect his reputation. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not just angry. Furious. Volcanic. William thought he was smart, but he had always been lazy with details. That was my job. I was the one who knew where all the bodies were buried because I was the one who buried them. I spent the weekend going through old files on my personal laptop. 22 years of partnership means 22 years of shared secrets. And William had plenty of secrets. The tax situation was the biggest one. For the past 5 years, William had been claiming personal expenses as business deductions. His golf club membership. Expensive dinners with clients, who were actually personal friends. A company car for his ex-wife that she used for grocery shopping. I had warned him about it multiple times, but he always brushed off my concerns. Everyone does it, he would say. It's a gray area. Gray area. That's what he called fraud now. Then there were the bribes. William called them consulting fees or referral bonuses, but I knew what they were. Payments to procurement officers at big corporations to steer contracts our way. Cash payments to government officials to expedite permits for our clients. I had objected every time, but William always found ways around my concerns. Separate accounts I didn't control. Business development, expenses that never appeared in our regular books. And then there were his credentials. William's MBA from Northwestern that he mentioned in every sales pitch. He had taken 2 classes before dropping out. His certification as a project management professional. He had paid someone to take the exam for him. I had kept quiet about all of it because he was my partner. My friend. I thought loyalty meant protecting him from his own stupidity. But loyalty is supposed to work both ways. I started making copies of everything. Bank statements showing suspicious transfers. Email threads discussing bribe payments. William's college transcripts showing his real academic record. It took me 3 days to organize everything into a comprehensive package. Financial crimes. Academic fraud. Corporate malfeasance. 22 years of William's shortcuts and ethical lapses, all documented and cross-referenced. The hardest part was deciding who to send it to. The IRS was obvious for the tax fraud. The state licensing board needed to know about his fake credentials. The FBI would want to see evidence of the bribery schemes. But I wanted maximum impact. I wanted the whole world to know what kind of man William Chin really was. I started with the business press. Our industry had several trade publications that loved scandal stories. I sent anonymous packages to 3 different reporters, each with different pieces of the puzzle. Then I contacted our biggest clients directly. Not to gossip or complain, but to share concerns about financial irregularities that they might want to investigate before renewing their contracts. The State Attorney General's office got a detailed report about William's fraudulent billing practices. The Better Business Bureau received complaints about misleading advertising. The Chamber of Commerce learned about his fake MBA. Within 2 weeks, the first story broke. Local consulting firm under investigation for tax fraud. The reporter had done good work, connecting the dots between William's personal expenses and his business deductions. I watched the news from my living room eating popcorn like it was entertainment. Which honestly it was. William called me that night. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Rebecca, we need to talk. Do we? I thought you made it pretty clear where we stood. This is serious. There are reporters calling. Clients are asking questions. Sounds like a business problem. Maybe you should ask Amber for advice. She's so good with strategy. Rebecca, please. I know you're angry, but this affects both of us. If the company goes down, that's your problem. I don't work there anymore, remember? You can't do this. We built this together. No, William. We built it together. You destroyed it alone. I hung up and turned off my phone. The avalanche was just getting started. The next week brought investigations from 3 different government agencies. The state revoked William's professional licenses. Our biggest client canceled their contract worth $12 million annually. Amber tried to hold things together, but she was in way over her head. 26 years old with 6 months of experience, suddenly responsible for a company in free fall. The staff started quitting when paychecks began bouncing. I heard through mutual friends that William was desperate. He tried to sell the company, but who wants to buy a business under criminal investigation? He mortgaged his house to make payroll, but it wasn't enough. 3 months after he fired me, Pinnacle Business Solutions filed for bankruptcy. 22 years of work, gone. But it wasn't my work anymore. He had made sure of that. The criminal charges came 6 months later. Tax evasion, fraud, bribery. The FBI had found everything I had hoped they would find and more. William hired the best lawyers his dwindling money could buy, but the evidence was overwhelming. I testified at his trial as a prosecution witness. He wouldn't look at me when I was on the stand answering questions about our partnership and his various illegal activities. Ms. Martinez, the prosecutor asked, were you aware of Mr. Chen's fraudulent academic credentials when you entered into business partnership? I discovered them several years into our partnership, I said. I advised him to correct his professional profiles, but he refused. And the tax irregularities you've described, did you participate in any of these activities? No. I objected to them repeatedly and maintained separate documentation to protect myself. It was all true. Every word. I had tried to keep William honest, but he had chosen to ignore my advice. Now he was paying the price. The judge sentenced him to 8 years in federal prison. Not as long as I had hoped, but long enough. Amber didn't wait around for the sentencing. She had jumped ship months earlier when it became clear the company was doomed. Last I heard, she was dating Thomas Rodriguez, who used to be our chief financial officer before he quit to avoid getting caught up in the scandal. Thomas had always been smart. He saw which way the wind was blowing and got out before the storm hit. Amber apparently decided he was a better bet than William. Younger, richer, and not facing federal prison time. William lost everything. His company. His house. His reputation. His freedom. And his girlfriend, who moved on to the next successful man without looking back. I felt bad about that for maybe 5 minutes. 2 years after Pinnacle collapsed, I was grocery shopping when I saw him. William Chin, former multimillionaire business owner, wearing a uniform and flipping burgers at the fast food place in the shopping center. He looked older, grayer, defeated. He was on work release, trying to rebuild his life one minimum wage paycheck at a time. Our eyes met across the restaurant. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he looked away and went back to work. I finished my shopping and drove home to my new life. After William's company collapsed, I had started my own consulting firm. Smaller than Pinnacle, but built on a foundation of actual ethics and honest work. My clients were mostly companies that had been burned by firms like Williams. They wanted consultants who would tell them the truth instead of what they wanted to hear. They were willing to pay premium rates for integrity. Business was good. Better than good, actually. I was making more money than I had as Williams' partner, and I was sleeping better at night. Sometimes former employees from Pinnacle would contact me, looking for work or references. I helped when I could. Most of them were good people who had gotten caught up in Williams' mess through no fault of their own. They would ask what really happened, why the company fell apart so quickly. I would tell them that businesses built on lies always collapse eventually. The only question is whether you get out before the walls come down. A few figured out that I was the one who brought everything to light. They seemed to think I should feel guilty about destroying so many jobs and ending so many careers. But I didn't feel guilty. William had made his choices. I just made sure he faced the consequences. The company we built together is gone. William's reputation is destroyed. His freedom is limited. His girlfriend moved on to someone with better prospects. I should probably feel bad about that. Part of me does feel bad about the innocent employees who lost their jobs. But William, the man who threw away 22 years of friendship for a woman who couldn't care less about him, he got exactly what he deserved. Sometimes I drive by the shopping center where he works. Not to gloat, but to remind myself that actions have consequences. That loyalty should be earned, not assumed. That building something meaningful takes years, but destroying it can happen overnight. William thought he was untouchable. He thought his charm and connections would protect him from his crimes. He thought I would stay quiet forever because that's what I had always done before. He was wrong about all of it. The ashes of our partnership fertilized the ground for my new business. Everything he destroyed became the foundation for something better. Something honest. Justice isn't always pretty. Sometimes it looks like a middle-aged man in a fast food uniform, facing the consequences of his choices one burger at a time. But it's still justice. Thank you for watching. If you loved this story, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for daily stories.